Welcome back to the channel, good friends. Brian from Apex Detail. Today we're going to take a look at a new ShineMate polisher. This would be categorized as entry level, maybe effective for paint enhancements, one steps. So looking at the numbers behind this polisher, again, this is the ERO600G2 Orbital polisher from ShineMate. 120 volt, we have a 600-900, so the motor power of the motor is a little bit smaller. Combine that with the 9mm Orbit, and that should be enough to keep you out of trouble on peaks and body lines and contours from burning through the clear coat or single stage. 5-meter cord, so it's a nice long cord. 2,500 to 6,500 orbits per minute. Let's take a look at the contents of the package. Get the polisher itself and the long cord. Get a pad, 5-inch pad. You get the hex wrench to remove the backing plate, and extra set of brushes. I'll show you where those go if you ever need to replace those. Quite simple to break these polishers down and maintain them. A booklet with instructions and the different types of polishers they have available. And more information on their polishers and an operator's manual. Before we go any further, just to show you how this would fall in line with some of their other polishers, this is just a small example. It would be right in the middle. Here are their more powerful, larger, heavier professional units. Here are the lighter entry level, and the ERO600 falls as the more powerful and actually the larger of the three. Okay, time for the closer look segment of the video, where obviously we take a closer look at the polisher itself. We have the platypus grip handle, which is nice, soft rubber top, the shroud, and the bottom of the handle, high impact plastic with venting to keep the unit cooler, the gears cooler, the pad cooler. This ends down at the bottom of the shroud with a rubber piece. Again, with this one here, no need for the spacer adapter. It has plenty of space. It won't rub against the backing plate and bog that motor down. The backing plate itself has plenty of ventilation to keep things cool, so it'll escape here. Air drawn up through the center hole here, escapes through the vents here. We have the push button switch. The only thing I don't like about these is you can easily bump that and it pops off, but that's where it is. And also back here we have the speed dial. No tactile feedback, speeds 1 through 6. That leads us to the cord. The PVC pigtail, which is about 3 inches long, produces a 5-meter plastic cord. This is an SJT thermoplastic cord. So these are heavy duty, and they can put up with a lot. They can put up with resistance to oil, alkali chemicals, acidic chemicals, water, ozone, and you definitely, it doesn't matter if it's this or the soft flexible cord, you definitely want to keep it away from paint. Throw it up over your shoulder, keep it away from the paint because it will scratch. Clear coat, for the most part, is very soft. All right, next up, some dimensions for the ERO600G2. When it comes to overall length and dimensions, hey, they could be important for those that have a specific use for these polishers, needing to get them in tight spaces or whatever purpose you have for these. It's 1 foot long. At the widest part of the polisher, you're looking at 16 mils. And from the backing plate to the top of the polisher, you're looking at 130 mils. So that can be important if you're trying to get in tight spaces with this polisher. It's the larger of the 3 entry-level polishers, once again. When it comes to weight, let's take a look here. This should be on the light side. It should be about 5 pounds or lighter. Let's get this on. Let's get it to pounds. Good to go there. And we're looking at, oh yeah, under 5 pounds, 4.5, 4.5 pounds. So that is good. A light polisher, easy on the shoulders. Okay, the next segment is going to be the look inside segment. And when we get in there and tear this polisher down piece by piece, we'll see how it's made. Is it made with quality parts and with care, or is it just sloppily thrown together for a buck? I have an example of something that is made with quality in mind, and that starts with directional fans to keep it cool rather than the straight fins. The field windings, all with epoxy, all with a coating to keep them protected, keep them from separating, and then going up against other metals and the outside of the polisher and shorting the unit and ruining your day. I always like to see epoxy. This white epoxy here is on the field winding where it meets the commutator. And then, of course, high quality Japanese bearings. So this is a good unit here. When I tear this down, we're going to start with the backing plate. So again, no washer mod needed. You can see all of the ventilation holes here. 5-inch. That leads us to a counterbalance. So that's what gives the polisher a smooth ride as the backing plate oscillates back and forth. And that has little, I think it's T15s or T10s. And we'll remove these. Make sure you have the right size. And I do not, so give me a second here and get the right size. All right, we're back. Simple Allen key. These should be rather short. They're never extra long. Get these removed. Okay, and that's the counterbalance. That reveals 4 Phillips head screws right here. Then we can remove the shroud. All right, with the last screw, we can carefully manipulate the shroud so we can remove it, and you can see a little bit of lubrication here, and they always do that just in case it does rub up against the backing plate. From here, we just wiggle, give this a wiggle, and we can pop up and open this up, and that will reveal another sealed bearing, the ring gear, and the pinion gear. And of course, packed in this cheap factory grease, which I will be swapping out for Wolfhead's Red. By the way, to give you another option besides the Wolf Heads Red is the Schaefer's 238 Ultra Supreme. Synthetic, waterproof, high temperature protection, and will not pound out. Extra tacky, great for the little gears in the polishers that can actually spike in temperatures. So this is another great option. And what I do is I just normally load it up on my fingers and get it in there. And guys, actually, that was perfect. That will do it. You do not want to overpack it. You want to leave a little bit of room to get the gear back in there and have room for rotation and a little bit of circulation. That will work. Okay, so next, flip the screwdriver over to the flathead side. We'll take out these caps. These caps, again, normally for if you're going to insert a handle, but they also keep the platypus handle tight and in place. So let's remove that. And then you should be able to snap and pull that apart. Again, real stiff, high impact plastic with rubber grip on top. Okay, so that reveals 3 more Phillips head screws, and then we'll be able to separate the motor from the casing. Before we do that though, we need to get to the business end where the electronics are, pop out the brushes so we can slide that motor out without it catching a bearing. Flip this over again. We can get these at least removed for now. And just to show you, with those screws removed, you're going to get some resistance trying to separate this. That's because the brushes need to be removed for the bearing to pull through. In order to do that, we need to get this screw right here. Just a Phillips head kind of self-tapper. And then slowly pull back. You want to pull back slowly because, you know, there might be a wire that's against the edge of the casing here. So that reveals the business end where all the electronics, the switches, and the dials are. Looks nice and clean so far. You can see the switch button is attached to an armature that comes all the way back through because the power switch is back here. So let's get the brushes removed and then we can pull the motor away. Brushes are easy to remove. There's one on either side here on the top and the bottom of the unit, and all you do is get something in here and pull this little arm over. Let's go to the other side and then pull straight up, and right there are your brushes. And if you wanted to replace those, right here they are, just plug them in right there, push them down in the hole, put the spring armature over top, and it holds it in place and pushes it down against the motor, and you're good to go. Flip this one over. Sometimes that little guy fights you, the little spring. And now, you can pull up this side. So that frees up the motor to come out. So some good signs. We have the cooling fan blades. They're on a little bit of an angle. We have the field windings here, and they do have a coating. We also have epoxy where the field windings meet the commutator, again, so that will not break loose any of the strands with the vibration of the polisher, short the polisher out. And we have sealed bearings. So everything looks good from the gears, now that we have the proper grease, to the fan, all the way through to the bearing. Solid unit. Let's get it back together and demonstrate how it works. All right, we're going to grab the pad that belongs with this system. If you have a manufacturer that makes a polisher, backing plates, pads, and correction fluids, which they do, stay within the system. That way you have the perfect balance and everything will be cohesive and work as a team. So let's fire this thing up and you get an idea of what it sounds like as we run it through its paces. First, second, smooth, quiet, and then the highest speed. Let's load it up and put it to work. Perfectly smooth. To be effective, just be patient with it. It's going to take a little bit more time to correct with this than, say, a 15mm throw or a polisher with a 21mm throw or larger, or even a rotary. So you can be successful and get results with this if you're a little bit more patient. As an enthusiast or entry level, when it comes to the industry, this would be perfectly fine. And to finish the video off as a little bonus, when it comes to sound and vibration, I've taken these measurements in other polisher videos so you can revert back to them for some comparison. And now vibration. As you can see, they're light to very weak when it comes to vibration. So it's smooth for what it is. So that's going to do it for this video. In conclusion, for entry level, for an enthusiast driveway detailer, for even the professional doing an enhancement or a one-step, it would be perfectly fine. It will definitely keep you out of trouble on peaks and edges, burning through clear coat. It is light, so it's easy on the arms and shoulders, and user-friendly experience. Brian from Apex Detail, catch you in the next video.